Aloha and welcome to the Boy Mom Podcast with my mom, Monica Swanson. On the Boy Mom Podcast, it is our goal to bring you practical advice and biblical wisdom for raising boys in this sometimes crazy world. You can always find show notes over at monicaswanson.com/podcasts. We're so glad you're here.
But I think also the mom's role in that,
Totally.
and just again reminding them of what to do when you're around, somebody of the opposite sex. How do you treat them? What does being a gentleman look like?
Yes.
I think sometimes we forget about that because we get so focused on the role of the dad. When it comes
I love that you said that.
I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to think, especially as they get older, like how could I make those moments just individual and unique?
You are listening to the voice of my new friend, Maggie John. Maggie and I were introduced by our mutual friend, Krista Gilbert, who you'll also be hearing from in the very near future. But as I continue on in this series here on the podcast, celebrating the joys and challenges of raising boys in all the different seasons, everything from the baby years, which we still have yet to cover, all the way through college and beyond. I was talking to Krista and asking if she had any suggestions for a mom whose son is just in or coming out of the middle school years. And she said, I have just the woman for you. And I'm so glad she introduced me to Maggie. See, part of my heart for this series is I wanted to bring moms on who have a life situation different from mine. Moms who might work or be home, moms whose kids might go to public school, private school, who might live in a different place from me. And Maggie kind of fits all of that. She's raising her sons in Canada. She's from Canada and she is a TV show host. Hello. How cool is that? So it was really fun to get to know Maggie, to hear a little bit about her life there in Canada as her sons go to a public Catholic school. So that was a totally different thing for me to hear about. But Maggie and I have an honest conversation about these years, the boys in their tween years, some of the awkward, some of the fun, some of the funny. I think you're going to relate to a lot of it. And if you have boys who are younger, this will give you a heads up on some things to be looking ahead for in those years to come. And trust me, it doesn't have to be bad. These are some fun times, all right? So I want to stop and thank you so much for helping me celebrate last week the 1-year anniversary of the release of my book, Boy Mom. Thank you for those of you who shared on social media. And thank you for those of you who just ordered the book for the first time. And I know a lot of you are listening on audio, so I'm just enjoying hearing from all of you. Also, I want to thank you guys for your ratings and reviews. I continue to see them come through and they mean so much to me. So if you haven't left one yet, this is a great time to just hit pause on your phone, scroll down, find those 5 stars and tap on them, or leave a few words about what you like most about the Boy Mom podcast. Now, I've been doing some planning for the fall here on the podcast, and I am so excited. We're going to finish up this series. Then I have some great interviews ahead, some great topics I want to cover, but I want to remind you, this podcast is for you. So if there is a topic, if there's something on your heart or mind that you would like me to cover, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email at aloha@monicaswanson.com. Let me know what you would like me to cover and I'll do my best to tackle that. I also am planning a Q&A episode coming up in the near future. So if you've just got a question about something we've already covered or really anything at all related to raising boys, go ahead and send them my way and I'll do my best to cover everything I can. Okay, guys, I'm excited to share this interview with you. So without further ado, here's Maggie John and I talking about boys in those tween, junior high, middle school, depending on where you live, years. I hope you enjoy. Hey, Maggie, welcome to the Boy Mom podcast.
Thank you so much, Monica. This is fun.
This is fun. And one thing I love about the series that I'm doing right now is I'm getting to meet some new friends who I have never met before. And you and I have, well, I think we have a few mutual friends, but Krista Gilbert is the one who kind of linked us up. She has the Open Door Sisterhood podcast. And I was like, Krista, do you know anyone with boys in the middle school, junior high kind of age range? Because I just couldn't think of anyone off the top of my head. So she said, I have just the girl for you. So Maggie, could you tell everyone just a little about you, your family, and where you live, what you do?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Maggie John, and I live just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and love it out here. I am a television host and producer of a show that I've actually just inherited. It's a 20-year-old show, and I've just been announced as the new host of a show out here called Context Beyond the Headlines, and it's a current affairs news Christian show, as well as I run a charity called the Baby Depot, and we collect gently used clothing and give a year's worth of clothing to babies in need. We're helping over 100 babies each year. So that's really fun. And
Wow.
then,
Great.
yeah, and then I'm a boy mom. So I have two boys. Joshua is 7 and Ethan is 13, turning 14 in October. And boy, is it a ride. And of
They're
course,
darling.
they are. And of course, married to Elton. Yes, his name is Elton John.
Oh my goodness.
So we
I
get
hadn't
that.
even noticed that.
Yeah, we get that a lot. And Monica, I am so outnumbered in this house. Even our dog is male, so there are
I
no
have the
girls,
same.
no girls in this house.
Oh my goodness. I love that. And everyone's going to have to hop over to show notes. I'm going to ask you for a photo of your family because you guys are
Yeah.
just adorable. And yeah, I've got a boy dog too, but we did end up with a girl cat. So I feel a little bit better.
There you
Not
go.
that she could care less about me, but oh, well, fun. And you've always lived in Canada. Is that right? Or
Yeah, born and raised here in Canada. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if you are my first Canadian guest.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I need to look back over that.
okay.
But fun. I feel like I've been connecting with more people online lately from Canada, and you're all like beautiful and smart. Something about Canada this summer. I'm just connecting with all these
That's
very
awesome.
sharp women. Okay. Well, we are here to talk about probably one of my favorite topics. I just have this soft spot for those just darling, awkward, funny, sweet middle school age boys. And I know different places have different school, junior high, middle school. We're talking tween years, maybe, the 10 to 13-year-old range is what I think of. Actually, my son's 10 and he's 5th grade, but whatever that is,
Yep.
right before they hit high school.
Yeah.
And, this is one of those times that I just have such, like I said, a soft spot for boys in this age because they're changing so quickly. And yet they're also changing at different rates. Like some are 6 feet tall and have facial hair and others look like little boys still.
Right.
So it's a weird season. And I don't know. As I was preparing for this interview, I was reflecting on my own middle school years and oh boy, I wouldn't revisit those if I could again. Because boy, I was sure awkward. Those were some challenging times, but I would love to hear from you. And we'll just start off by, if you could tell me, now your older son is named, which
Ethan.
one is the older? Ethan. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So Ethan just finished what grade?
He just graduated. So we have elementary
Yeah.
and then we go to high school. So he just graduated elementary and so he'll be going to high school in September.
And what do they call that if that last year? Did they go
It's
by
just
grade
grade
number?
8.
Grade 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what are some of your favorite parts of the last few years? What's something that stands out to you?
Oh my goodness. He has just grown so much. I mean, he's now taller than myself and my husband. The other day, Elton's like, "Is Ethan taller than me?" I'm like, "Yes, he is."
Wow, that's cool.
But I think what I've appreciated is like I'm finding that our conversation is evolving, and we're able to just have not an adult conversation, but I feel like I can joke with him in another level. And I don't know if you've experienced that with your boys, but
sure.
Just a maturity, but still a lack of maturity somewhere in the middle. Right. But I can joke around with him. I can have serious conversations with him. We've had some serious conversations about girls very recently. And I feel like even that conversation has changed. Whereas before
everything's waking up.
Totally.
Right?
And before I think it was like more secretive. And now he's just like, he realizes that honesty is the best policy in our household.
Yes.
So I'm loving that just being able to just be a little bit more real with him and just realizing and seeing him turn into this young man, which I'm excited to see.
Yes, it's the best. I just love these years and what you're headed into as well. And I probably should have asked first, tell us all, like, what is the school? Are your sons in a private or public school? I know things are a little different in Canada than the States, but what's their school situation like? And of course, now what is it like in light of everything?
I know. So they go to a Catholic school. So here in Canada, they have public schools, but you could either go to just a public school or you can go to a public Catholic school. And so This was kind of formulated many, many years ago. So public money, your tax money will go to the Catholic
Wow.
school or a public school. And so you have the choice. So
Okay.
our Catholic school is literally in our backyard.
Oh my goodness.
It's just in the backyard.
So
So
nice.
it's great. And so
Mm.
the reason why Elton and I chose that for our boys is just so that they would have some faith-based
Mm-hmm.
curriculum and direction every single
Mm-hmm.
day. And to be honest, we didn't have to pay more than just our taxes for it.
Wow.
We tried the
Awesome.
we tried the private Christian school, and we just honestly couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this
Same.
has been a great experience as well. And really just having conversations because we're not Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, certain rituals and things that they do in school that we wouldn't necessarily do as
Mm-hmm.
evangelicals.
Yeah.
But even in that, having conversations about how the body of Christ looks different and
Mm-hmm.
how there are different expressions of worshiping God, but we're all worshiping Jesus. So that's
Right.
been really cool too.
Oh, that is neat. I
Yeah.
love that. And it's pretty much across the board though, the elementary school through 8th grade. That's always how it's done there.
Yeah. So yeah, you always have
Okay.
the option of public or Catholic, and also in high school as well. So he'll be going to a Catholic high school. So uniforms and all of that great stuff.
Aw, so cute.
But it
I
has
love
been
that.
a challenge this year with COVID and
Yeah. So how has that looked and how will it look in this coming year, or do you even know yet?
yeah, great question. So right after March break,
Mm-hmm.
they basically said, kids wouldn't be returning anytime soon. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really just month by month, we were getting notice from the
Right.
government as to what was going to happen. And so by May, we were told, you know what, kids are not going back for the rest of the year. So that's
Right.
been quite a challenge. I think it's been
Yeah.
sad because this was Ethan's last year in,
Mm.
in elementary school.
Yeah.
And you know how big a deal that is. You're
Yes.
you're the older kids in the school.
Finally.
Right, exactly. You're graduating,
Uh,
year-end trips and yearbooks and just,
yeah.
having fun with your friends, all of those things he's really missed and
Mm.
hasn't really been able to connect with his friends just because of social distancing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a challenge, but it's funny. I don't know if your boys are like this, but it's only up until maybe a couple weeks ago where I've heard my boys say, hey, you know what? I actually really miss my friends. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if maybe there was this anticipation of going back and they were holding on to
Yes.
this hope. And
Yeah.
so now it's like, okay, I am done and I want to go back to school.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Yeah.
usually around this time, they're not really that keen on going back
Excited.
to school.
Sure. Yes,
And so he's
totally.
like, I don't care that I'm going to high school. I'm going to a new school. I hardly know anybody. I just want to be among
Well,
other kids. And that's
definitely.
understandable.
Yeah. And has it been pretty strict all the time? Like, have you been mostly in the home or have you had some freedom to get out and like go to parks and do other things?
Yeah. So we also back out onto a park, which has been great.
Thank
So the
God.
kids walk the dog every day and they go out
Mm.
and I try to shoo them out the door because Fortnite
Mm-hmm.
has just taken over their
Yeah.
brains.
Yes. All across the world.
Right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we've tried to get out. We've tried to just go to the beach. We don't live in Hawaii like you do, but
That's
we
okay.
try to go to Lake Ontario
Oh, cool.
and have some fun there. But
That's
yeah, I mean it's pretty strict. I mean most parents are keeping their kids away from
mm-hmm.
other kids and the parks
Right.
and all of that stuff. So yeah, they'll walk
Yes.
around the community. But yeah, in
Right.
September we just heard word maybe about a week ago from our government that they will be allowing kids to go back to school.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So for high school, that means it will be kind of a hybrid of
Mm-hmm.
part-time in class, part-time online. So we'll see how that
Okay.
works out.
Hey,
And then,
that's better than all home for sure.
yeah, and then elementary, I think, and everybody has to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And then my youngest, I think it's grade 4 and under, they don't have to wear a mask.
Hmm.
If they want to, we can send him with one, but they will
Right.
be full time. And so that's kind of
Okay.
a lot of people are
Wow.
kind of concerned about that. We're
Sure.
our government's getting a lot of flack on that. Just is
Mm-hmm.
it safe? So
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, every in our region, every board kind of has its own choices. They can make the choices as to how they want to apply that. So
Okay.
we'll see how that all turns out.
Wow. Wow. And I mean, I think that all the people in charge, it's hard because you just can't win. No matter what they say,
Yeah.
there's going to be somebody upset with them. And I have compassion because I feel like I'm not even sure where I stand on things because I keep hearing more information. And then I'm like, well, maybe I was wrong. Well, maybe I
Yes.
was wrong.
Yeah.
So this is tough. This is a tough season that we're all in. But have your boys like understood? Like, how are they with the whole pandemic thing? Is it caused fear, anxiety? How's that been? And of course, your
No.
younger one's pretty young, 7 still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because our Joshua, he's our free spirit. There's always one that's just like
Mm-hmm.
life is great all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he goes to the park and he knows that he has to kind of keep his distance
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about the fact that we couldn't go see grandma and grandpa, and he was like, yeah, but he was talking on the phone with his grandparents and he said, yeah, I can't see you right now because of the pandemic. Like, he was just very
Yeah, straightforward.
very straightforward about it. But he gets it.
Yeah.
He gets it. Yeah. And I think I think they've gotten to the point where it's just, they're so weary and so tired of the distancing and all of that. Yeah.
Totally. And I'm just realizing as I'm looking at your boys' ages, so I have 4 boys and 2 are college age now, but my last 2 are about the same age gap as your 2 boys.
Okay.
And, yeah, I don't know how close your boys are, but I will tell you that at 16 and 10, my boys are like really, really good friends, which I just love. So, I'm just noticing that because that's a pretty good gap there, but
it is.
Do they get along pretty well when they're home all the time together?
So Joshua was kind of our blessing in disguise. We weren't expecting him.
Yeah.
But they do. Like, Ethan, our oldest, is kind of acts like his parents at times. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh, for sure.
So every once in a while we have to say, you know what, Ethan, like, it's okay. We're parents. I think we know how to do this. It's okay.
100%. Yeah, every day.
You're not the third parent. It's okay. You could just be a kid. But they do love each other. And, they're kind of like a married couple. They love each other at one point, and, the other they're bickering and complaining. But they are so different day and night. Yes. Very, very different. Joshua, again, the youngest, is very free spirit, very social, will go up and talk to you, chat. Like, he's just funny that way. Whereas Ethan is more insular, quieter, has to kind of get to know you a little bit before he opens up. But it's funny because at school, one of the pieces of feedback we've gotten, we don't call it complaint, but pieces of feedback we've gotten is that he loves to talk. And one of his teachers had said, I feel like he should be like a consultant or, some sort of And so it's funny how, like, when he's with his peers, he is Mr. Social Butterfly.
Oh, I love that.
But otherwise, people would see him and think he, like, couldn't speak. Like, they would think, does Ethan actually talk? So it's funny how their personalities are. Whereas Joshua doesn't. There's no turn off button from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed.
So
always
cute.
talking. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, and I think some of that could be too just those tween years. I feel like kids are really figuring out their personality, and to some extent they're experimenting with who they are. Am I the outgoing one? Am I the quieter one? Where do I belong? And I think that's been a big part of my boys growing up, is almost the identity crisis that is natural in the tween and teenage years. And so with that, and again, since he's been kind of in elementary school all throughout, but he's still had those few years, have you seen Ethan struggle? Like, is there anything that's been a challenge in particular in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think you're right about finding your voice. I think we saw that kind of in grade 5, grade 6, where there were some challenging years there where, we were meeting with the teachers on an ongoing basis because he was finding his voice and she didn't like that.
Yes.
And so, I think that's an interesting journey with having boys as well. I don't know if you found this, but I know, or just observed within our public school educational system, I feel like education is kind of more catered towards girls.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've just seen how we had a tutor for a long time. We still have one, but we changed over. And she was young, and she would, take him to her house and teach them from there so that, they weren't in the craziness of our house. And
Uh-huh.
she'd bring him home and she'd be like, you know what, Maggie, are you okay with us just spending an hour playing basketball before
Yeah.
before I teach him? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, sure, okay. And she said,
Yep.
it's day and night, Maggie, when
Hmm.
he has had time to just play and do something fun and physical, and then his
Hmm.
mind just opens up.
Yep.
And so I feel like the educational system, it's like, be quiet, sit down,
Hmm.
for eight
Yes.
hours or whatever it is, and just take it all in. And for boys, they just learn so differently. And so
Yes.
I've had some of those conversations, especially with our youngest one, because I see that
Hmm.
more in him, with the
Hmm.
teachers, just saying, like, yes, we have to tell our children to listen and to respect their teachers and behave and all those things. But I hope you just also realize that boys just learn very differently than girls.
100%. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Last spring, I had Andrew Pudwa on, who is the director of the Institute for Excellence in Writing. It's a homeschool
Mm.
curriculum, but he has like a lot to say on that topic and is just such a believer in letting boys whatever they need to do. Sometimes it's stand up and do their work. Sometimes it's build a fort and crawl in it to do, like, they need to be able to move. And I think, though that wasn't my initial reason for homeschooling, that has been a huge perk is I'll send my 10-year-old outside and just be like, run some laps
Yeah.
before you sit down
Yeah.
because you need it. So yeah, I think your tutor was onto something for sure. And that's just a boy thing. And I'm sure some girls too. I mean,
Oh,
there's such a
totally.
range, but
Totally.
yeah, I think across the board, boys need to move. And if they don't think they do, they usually still do. So I think it's a good idea for parents to incorporate that. I know people who are more stuck indoors, whether it's because of the quarantine or, seasonally. I say get one of those little mini trampolines maybe and just have
Mm.
them stand on it, because something about that pressure in their joints. I've heard people talk about how that sensation just really is healthy for them to just bounce for 10 minutes or
Wow. Yeah.
get an exercise video, do something, because it really does make a difference in their brain then being ready to settle down and learn. So
Yeah. And
I
so I
love that.
think I think that was our challenge in grade
Hmm.
5, grade 6, was just that light bulb moment for us
Right.
with our tutor and her saying, I think Ethan just needs to, get out when he gets
Hmm.
home from school, just let him go to the basketball court and play or do something before you have him sit
Right.
down and do his homework. And for us,
Yep.
we've seen a huge difference in just allowing that. And I mean, sometimes he doesn't want to, but just even giving him the freedom to be able to do that and realize that he does learn differently and he needs that
Sure.
extra,
Yep.
for or whatever it is to just get that out before he's able to focus.
Hey guys, I want to pause right here to thank this episode's sponsor, which is Prep Dish. Now, I have never been a meal planner before, but I have so enjoyed using Prep Dish, and it makes such a difference, especially in this time where we're all home way more than we're used to. What a difference it can make. So Prep Dish is a meal planning service. Every Friday, I get an email with a grocery list and prep ahead instructions. So essentially, you go to the store once, you spend a few hours one day prepping, and then there's no guesswork on those busy weekdays. Everything's ready to go, and there's such a variety of meals. My kids have enjoyed them all, and there's options for gluten-free, paleo, keto. You choose what you like best, and you're ready to roll. This week, I'm looking at the menu, and I know my boys are going to love the chimichurri flank steak with quinoa and roasted carrots. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can check my stories. I like to share what I'm cooking up from Prep Dish, and I have loved hearing from so many of you who have tried Prep Dish for the first time. One mom recently emailed me and said this is the best her family has eaten in years, and she's so thankful she tried Prep Dish. So this is what you do, guys. Go to prepdish.com/boymom, and you will be offered a 2-week free trial. Just check it out. Give it a try. If you like it, you can sign up. Again, prepdish.com/boymom. Of course, there will always be links in my show notes as well. So I hope you love it. If you do try it, would you let me know? Send me a message or an email. Let me know how you're liking it. And if you make some of their meals, go ahead and tag them and me on social media. All right, guys, back to the show. Hope you enjoy. Totally. I love that. Well, how about the friendship arena? Of course, as you said, your son's growing tall. Obviously, changes are happening. And I think for different boys, this can, play out in different ways. Have you seen the friendships change, the influences in his life? Has that been tricky, or has it been a pretty easy road?
Oh, it's been so tricky,
Mm.
especially with, like Ethan has a phone, right? And
Yeah.
so we gave him a phone when he turned 13, I think.
Uh-huh.
And for a myriad of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just saw influences there where
Mm-hmm.
we found out he had accounts to things that we didn't
Sure.
we
That happens, doesn't
we
it?
didn't permit him to have. And it was like, well, so and so set it up for me. And so we've had
Uh-huh.
to have so many conversations about, even if, so and so tells you that you should do this, what is the right decision? What do you
Mm-hmm.
think is the right decision in our household and in our
Mm-hmm.
family to do?
Right.
And so
Mm-hmm.
we've had that repeatedly and
Yeah.
repeatedly. And
Mm-hmm.
and I finally feel, knock on wood, I finally feel like it's kind of getting through. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like what I said at the beginning about honesty, like
Yes.
we desire to just to have honest conversations. And we've tried to
Mm-hmm.
say to both of our boys, but mostly Ethan because he's older,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we won't get upset if you're just honest with us. Just tell us
Yes.
what you're going
Yes.
through. Ask us if you want to do something. But if we're finding out about it, because I would just do these like random searches on his
Mm-hmm. Oh,
phone,
for sure. Yep.
like
Good
it's
mom.
phone search day. and then
Uh-huh.
and then he'd lose
Yep.
his phone because he was
Yeah.
hiding conversations that were
Mm-hmm.
were not right,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and just on things that he was not supposed to be on. And
Right.
so again, just saying, hey, like we just want the best for you. And we
Yes.
really want to have an open relationship. And so
Yes.
even recently he came to us and said, told us something, and we were so appreciative of the fact that he just was
Mm,
open and
good.
honest with us. And
Right.
so we're trying
Yep.
to encourage that, especially going into high school, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but
Mm-hmm.
like high school is just the epitome of like hiding everything from your parents.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
And
so,
but it doesn't have to be, right? Like you can
no,
have that relationship
exactly.
where you're like, we're actually for you. We're not here to take away
Totally.
all the joy from your life.
Yes.
But if you talk to us, we can actually help you have the very best life. But
Yes. And
their little brains don't always get that.
help you make wise choices.
Totally. Yep.
Just help you
That's
make wise choices.
That's key. And I do
Yeah.
think that if parents cause a lot of people listening I know have younger kids, but that relationship is built over the years. And when they start to realize that, wait, mom and dad are actually for me,
Yeah.
they're not, then you start to have this trust thing going on both ways where it's like, you actually can tell me a lot and I'm not going to take away everything, though I may set some boundaries. They're going to be for your good. And I know that's just such an ongoing thing throughout all those tween and teenage years, but oh, you're doing a good job then. Well done.
I hope so.
Well, and I'm a big believer in, filters on everything. I'm always preaching to people
Yeah.
saying, you got to have the internet filters. But the truth is there is no guarantee you can have every filter under the sun. And those
Totally.
teenagers, they find a way.
They do. They
There's a way
do.
around
Or they have
everything.
a friend who will find a way.
Exactly. And that's why, you just got to come back to the heart and you say, if their heart is growing in the right direction, if they are sensitive to wanting to honor God with their life, then the filters are secondary. Like it's really going to be about them wanting to develop their own character. And that just takes time, I think, and maturity and the right influences. And so are they plugged into, or is he, I guess, plugged into a youth group? Is there a good, group of young people that he can stay connected to during this time?
Yeah, so he has been plugged into our church youth group, but during COVID, I
Mm-hmm.
think for my kids, they're just onlined out. Like if I'm
Yeah,
making up
yeah,
a
yeah.
word, but they're zoomed
Total.
out.
That's a good
They're
word.
they're zoomed out. They're just like they don't. I mean, he's not even on his phone much, and so when this all happened and the shutdown happened, I was like, hey, well, youth group is online. What do you
On Zoom. How
on
fun is
Zoom?
that?
And he was just like, I don't really want to
Yep.
go on, mom. Like, I don't
I
really
get
want to
it.
do it. And I just couldn't force him to do it. I just couldn't because I just felt
Uh-huh.
like he's
Yeah.
already, I mean, he's sitting in front of the computer from like 9 to 4 and
Mm-hmm.
he just was done. And
Yeah.
so we haven't really had that much connection, unfortunately, that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
mean, our youth group has been doing stuff online, but I just feel like kids, even his summer camp, I mean, he was supposed to go to summer camp this year and he was
Mm.
so upset because he loves summer camp.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so he like absolutely loves it. And so they were doing some online things and he's like, no, I don't even want to do that. Like he just wants to stay away from the computer.
Totally.
And I
Yeah.
can't blame them.
No kidding.
I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, I don't even want to be in front of a computer.
Mm-mm.
When five
Mm-mm.
o'clock hits, I'm like, shut it down. I don't want to see it
Yes.
until tomorrow morning.
Yes. And that's why we got to just hope and pray that this thing can wrap up soon, because I'm like, I know it's not healthy to lose connection with people or to
Yes.
lose that youth ministry. For a couple months this summer, our boys have been able to go to youth group
Okay.
and they're outdoors. They're all wearing masks, or supposed to be.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure, but they were so happy. And then now
Yeah.
that things are ramping up here in Hawaii, I feel like things are starting to shut down again. And I'm like, no, that was so good for a little while there.
The face-to-face
Oh,
connection is just so
yeah.
key. So key.
It is essential. I think it's what God made us for, is
Yes.
that connection, that fellowship. They really, really do need it. Okay. So how about any other, if you were to speak to a younger mom, let's say someone with your younger son's age coming
Mhm.
up on middle school, do you have any like, ooh, look out for this. This one caught me off guard. I know some moms tell me that their sons surprise them with how emotionally up and down they are in their
Mhm.
tween years. Some have told me that their sons start to really pull away from mom and identify with dad and want to hang out with dad more. I hear all different things, which is such a reminder that no two kids are alike in your own
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, you're all going to go through this different. So there is not one right way to be a mom. And I
Yeah.
think that's refreshing, I hope, to know that you really being a prayerful mom and being a student of your own kids, I think is key. But anything you would say to be prepared for?
Yeah. You know what? I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's just, and I remember a lady that I met a couple of years ago said this, and she had like 6 kids or maybe even more. But she said you need to parent every child independently. And I mean, it sounds so obvious, Monica, but it just was
Yeah.
a light bulb moment for me, because you
Mhm.
just think, okay, I got the boys down. I understand, I've gone through the first one. I know what to
Right.
do, but they are
No.
so different. And
Yes.
so I'm trying to celebrate the difference and also try
Good.
to find things that I can do with each of them. Like, they don't know this tonight, but my husband and I were supposed to go out on a date night, and my husband had to be called into work. So I'm going to take them out on a date to a restaurant. And I'm just like, how do I find things, especially as they get older, and especially as Ethan gets older and he's going to have more questions about girls and all that, to just find those moments that you can just have with one boy that
Totally.
they can, because I mean, when you think about it, we are the example that they're going to look at of what a woman, what
Yes.
interaction with a woman looks like. So from the
Yep.
things like, for me, chivalry is a big thing. For me, opening the
Yes.
door and being respectful and all of those things,
Yes.
they're going to
Love
learn
it.
that from us, their moms, right? And so,
Yes. Yes.
so many times we talk about, again, the importance of dads in boys' lives, and that's so important for sure, having a dad in your son's life. But I think also the mom's role in that,
Totally.
and just again reminding them of what to do when you're around somebody of the opposite sex. How do you treat them? What does being
Totally.
a gentleman look like?
Yes.
I think sometimes
Oh,
we forget about that because we get so focused on the role of the dad when it
I
comes
love
to
that you said
boys,
that.
that
Yes.
I'm trying to think, especially as they get older, like, how could I make those moments just individual and unique
Totally.
to each boy?
Yes.
And again, I have two, so it's maybe a little bit easier, but it's just finding
Oh,
those
no.
moments where you can do that.
Totally. I'm really glad you said that, because that's one thing that comes up a lot. And I know that there's single moms listening as well. God
Yeah,
bless you.
yeah,
But I've said that, people ask me about everything from, teaching them to be a gentleman, chivalry,
yeah,
and then on to the sex talks
yep,
and talking about all of that. And I think a lot of people would assume that the father just takes on that role. And, my husband's a physician and a man. And so you would imagine, but in my family, I'm just the talker. My
yeah,
husband's a quieter guy. And
yeah,
so I have over time realized that there's no rule that says dad has to teach him all that. If I'm comfortable talking, I'm going to talk and I'll
yeah,
bring it up. And oftentimes dad will join the conversation and give his perspective. But I say, don't hold back, moms,
yeah,
whether it's teaching them to open the door for you and say, hey, this is practice. Aren't you excited for the day that you'll have, a little
yeah,
lady by your side? And then
yeah.
they get all, mom, but you just keep bringing it up, and in their minds, they're kind of thinking about it and imagining that day. And so good job. Oh, I hope you have a fun date with your boys tonight. I love
Yeah, it will be fun.
that.
We're going to get
those
out.
are those are awesome. Well, I I just love talking to you, and I could ask you a million more questions because since I'm just getting to know you, I'm going to be following you everywhere, and I'll make sure everyone else gets to do that too. But because it's your first time on, and maybe we'll have you on again,
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you my 3 boy mom questions to wrap up. Are
All
you
right.
okay with that?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, I love to ask, what is one boy mom essential, something you can't imagine raising boys without? Anything goes.
Okay, definitely for the teens, it's Axe spray. I'm sorry. But
Oh, nice. I love it.
sorry. But I don't
For the
I
stink.
just, like I just feel like we're entering into a
Keeping it
zone
real.
now
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
I'm just like, Ethan, like so for me
Absolutely.
it's the
Yeah.
Axe spray or any sort
Yeah.
of spray.
And sometimes I think that starts young, like before even puberty. I'm like, wait a minute, how come you stink already?
Right. Right. You're
Oh, I'm
probably
with
asking
you.
for a more serious
No,
point, but
that's it. That's perfect.
when I
That is
thought of that, I
exactly what
thought
we're looking for.
that's exactly what it is.
I love it. I need to compile a list because these are so great always. Okay. So is there a time you remember being hit with the thought of, oh my goodness, I am a boy mom, like something your boy said or did or dragged in that just had boy written all over it?
Yeah. I think it's just the sports, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a sporty person. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and it's the, and I hate roller coasters. So
Oh, me too. I'm with you.
we recently went up north and, went to a resort up there and there was this little amusement park that we went to.
Aw.
And, we were all paired with, each other. So I was paired
Uh-huh.
with the younger son,
Yeah.
Joshua, and we went up on this roller coaster. My husband's like, it's okay. It's going to be fine, Maggie.
Oh, I
It's not,
hate them.
you know? And and so I felt like as we were mounting, as we're going up this roller coaster, I
Oh,
was like, okay, this is not going to be
there's
good.
nothing worse in the world.
No, no. But this is a part of being a boy mom is
Yeah.
experiencing these things and just like
Yes.
screaming. I was so glad I had my mask on because I was just like
Oh,
screaming.
I would be too. Yes. Oh, I relate to that so much. And they just
Oh,
have this thing built into them.
yes.
Yeah. We were down at the beach this week and the boys were all jumping off this really high rock into the ocean. And
Yeah.
I climbed down about a third of the way up. And even then I was shaking and they're
Yes.
like, Mom, it is so low. Just go. 1, 2, 3, go. And I'm like, you don't understand. To me, it's really
Yes.
high.
The peer pressure. The peer
Yes.
pressure.
Totally. I am
Oh.
so with you on that one. Okay. And then finally, if you could give advice, a word of wisdom to a younger Maggie, maybe when your first
Mm.
baby boy was in your arms, and if you could look back now and give a little word of wisdom, what would you say?
Yeah, I actually always say this to moms, and I mean, I don't have a lot of advice, but just just enjoy your children. Just enjoy them because I think especially when Ethan was young and, just a little toddler, I was always so worried about the milestones. I was always so worried about, is he doing this? Is he doing that?
Mhm.
Is he crawling right and whatever. And I remember one mom saying, you know what? By the time he's 15, he's gonna have it done. He's
He
not gonna
will
be
be
running around with a diaper on. Like you don't have to worry. And so when Joshua came around, and again there's a big age difference. I really just enjoyed him more. I enjoyed
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just seeing him grow and just
Hmm.
I was more present. And
Yes.
so I really do pray that through the hustle and bustle, and I think especially now, like with COVID and everything, that we
Yeah.
really just are present in the moment and
Mm.
enjoy this time that we've had. And even though like we want to be connected with our friends, we want to be connected outside. I mean,
Hmm.
these are precious moments that we're never going to have again. To
Totally.
have
Yep.
4 or 5 months with your kids
Yeah.
is kind of a gift, even though they can get
Yes.
on your nerves.
Of course.
And
Yes.
so just being present in the moment is something that I'm always trying to remind myself. I'm not an excellent person at it, but
Me
it's just
either.
always a reminder that I have in the back of my head, Maggie, just be present. Be
Oh,
present.
so good. And yes, I think we could all look back one day and like kind of wish we had enjoyed this because this time we can hope will end, right?
Yeah,
It won't always look like this.
right.
And so if we can keep that in mind, oh, I love that. That is advice for a lifetime. So I
Mm.
love it. Okay. Well, if everyone wants to hop on their phones right now and track you down, can you just tell us the quickest place to find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, which is, it's Maggie John.
Mhm.
I'm on
Perfect.
Facebook. I have a Maggie John page there. And then also my television show's
Yeah.
website is context beyond the headlines. I know it's very long. .com. You can find us there as well.
Okay, can we watch? Is that something we can watch online?
Yeah, you can see
Ooh.
all of my segments. We've been doing a lot of, as I said, I just joined the team in May. I used
Okay.
to host a daily Christian talk show, co-host that
Yes.
for a long time. I was on that show. And so
Yes,
just
and that was
transitioned.
called
That was called 100
100.
Huntley Street. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Can we find episodes of that as well? Because I
Yes.
know that was a long run. All right.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
100huntley.com for that one.
Okay.
So yeah, there's so many ways that you can stay connected with me.
Oh, well, Maggie, it has been so great talking to you. And I just hope to get to know you more over time and to, we could talk about other boy topics too. So hopefully we'll get you back on sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Monica, for having me on today.
Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And once again, you can find anything we touched on and links to where you can follow Maggie in the show notes at monicaswanson.com/podcast. And this is episode number 67. Okay, friends, I just want to thank you again for being here, for being a part of this community. And it's August, which means we have one more month of our Surface Sunscreen bundle giveaway. So be sure in show notes to look for the question. All you have to do is leave a quick comment, leave a quick response, and you'll be entered to win the end of August giveaway. Also, don't forget surfacesunscreen.com. You get 20% off if you use code BOYMOM. I know a whole bunch of you have become Surface fans through this summer, and I've loved hearing from you. So check them out. I think you're going to love all of their products. Their zinc products are so good for sun protection, says my dermatologist friend Heidi Foster from a few episodes back. Also, their lip balms are delicious, and they've got the spray sunscreens to cover those hard to reach areas, as well as just about everything else. After sun spray, anti-chafe stick that my sons use because those little wetsuits cause little rashes. So hope you love Surface like we do. They are Luke's surf sponsor, and we've appreciated them for many years. So it's super fun to get to share them with you. All right, guys, again, everything's over in show notes. So come say hi to me over there. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, aloha.